All right, everybody. So, how are we doing on this tired? I'm tired. Oh boy. So last night was Thursday night. Today's Friday. Congratulations, Charles. You know the days of the week. Um, Kyle and I finally got to an auction last night. We left the house at 2. We pulled in about 10:30. I was gonna say I'm old, but I don't think that's it. And here comes that cough again. I'm out of shape. Now, when we go to an auction, this is not one of those auctions where you are just sitting there in the rows and lifting up your card, and then they bring you your little doily or or whatever. Um, for any of you who have ever been to any kind of rural auction where the stuff is just kind of hanging out and you're just busting your ass for 6 or 7 hours. Any of you who have ever been to any of those, you know what I'm talking about. So the point here is that a couple of things. The eBay store. I know some of you know that we have the eBay store. We're going to be making that a bigger part of how you guys can support the channel. Normally, um, we've just been selling antique documents and photo and everything. And every once in a while, I've had the Panther stuff in there and some cards and whatnot. But we're going to start expanding our selection significantly. Last night, we came into possession of a large amount of sports related, like books and programs and whatnot. Some older cards too, and also a large estate lot, which we might get more of next week, of like military historical type books. So if that kind of stuff interests you, Kyle is going to be listing those. He's going to be starting today, but it'll probably take us a full week or two to get everything listed that we got last night. And we're going back again next week because they're dealing with the same estate. So the point is that if you want to get something in return for your support of the channel, other than just giving us a super chat, I actually prefer you guys to get something in return. So there will be more things over the course of the months and year here that are in that eBay store. Links are in the descriptions. And so there's that. Now, I'm tired. You guys know that that buzz in your head when you've done like way too many hours of manual labor, and to do it you like had sugar and caffeine and whatnot, and then you wake up with like that hangover buzz. That's where I am right now, and it doesn't help that the weather is doing the humid thing again. It is just blanketed. We get these cold fronts this time of the year, and they just plop and just stop right over the bay. And because you could basically throw a rock in the bay from my house, well, it's just like, I'm telling you, I grew up in Florida, I grew up in Miami, and this place gets more humid. It gets more humid. So I have an article pulled up today. It should be interesting to see if I can read this without my glasses. Now, the article, this is not, I don't know if this is a well-known site or not. I don't even remember how I stumbled upon this yesterday, but it's from lastwordonsports.com. And the article is our top 5 best NHL power forwards for 24-25. So when I saw that title, I'm like, that sounds like something I want to see where they put Chucky. I want to see where they put Chucky. And then when I read the whole list, I was like, oh, this is definitely, you guys are going to be interested in this. So let me take a sip of water so the old man will stop coughing, and then we'll get into it. All right, boy, I'm going to do this without my glasses. Okay, let's go. I mean, how big can I make this type? I have, for those of you who remember, like the 1 year where my eyes got great and I didn't need my glasses at all, I have acquired the supplement program that allowed my eyes to heal that way. I'm getting ready to start that again once I'm done with all of the grief and aggravation of packing up Karen's stuff. So by the start of the season again, I probably won't need glasses again. All right. It says the NHL's top 5 list of power forwards doesn't really have any surprises. The list might not, but the order's a little, you Panther fans, it's going to be a little triggering. One reason is the up-and-comers still have a few things to put together to round out their game. However, there are a few. Come on, Jaws, read. However, there are a few close. Okay, that's why I can't read it because it's not proper English. However, there are a few close, such as Quentin Byfield or Tage Thompson. There are. I should have been an English teacher. Writing today is just like, how is that a sentence, guy? Come on, man. There are a few close, such as you're missing a word in there. This is what living with me is like. And it may even be a passing of the torch of sorts, as Alex Ovechkin's exclusion suggests. Although when you consider someone like Tage Thompson, it is hard to win a top power forward award with only 43 penalty minutes. Enough for the chatter. Let's get to the list. Okay, so number 5 is Anders Lee. The New York Islanders captain has been regarded as one of the toughest players to play against, and more so come this postseason. I apologize. I shouldn't be reading this early in the morning. When you line up against Lee, you know you will be hit and hit hard. Lee had a respectable 176 hits last season and an impressive 35.8 expected goals, according to MoneyPuck.com. His scoring may have fallen off slightly, but as he has had a long NHL career, however, he still gets it done and checks in at 6'3" and 235. Good God, that is pretty big. Therefore, the Islanders' lifer is deserving of his top 5 honor in the category of best NHL power forwards. Now, number 4, no big surprise here. Thought he might have been higher, but okay. Tom Wilson. Next up is one of the toughest NHLers. On our top 5 list, the Washington Capitals' Tom Wilson landed second on it with 228 hits, and he was 1 penalty minute short of the lead at 133. Furthermore, similar to Lee, his scoring has fallen off slightly. He's got a typo. His scoring as falling off slightly. See, how do you produce articles with typos? Like, I understand when you type it wrong, but how does spell check not catch that? Of course, sometimes the Google spell check can be pretty stupid if that's what you're using. So I digress. Furthermore, similar to Lee, his scoring has fallen off slightly, which makes his inclusion in such a list into next season unlikely. But for now, make no mistake, nobody wants to see Wilson line up against them, and he still contributes on the score sheet. Agreed. Until we get to number 3. Number 3, Matthew Tkachuk. Yeah. So, okay, Matthew Tkachuk. I think this guy's definitely not a Panther fan because this I'm not making this up. This is the first sentence. Oh, and we got to add here. This is the first sentence. Okay, Matthew Tkachuk of the Florida Panthers is clearly one of the top power forwards in the NHL. He literally starts the sentence with okay. In fact, it's difficult to say he's not one of the top forwards in all of the game. Duh. He hits, scores, and is a big body. In addition, Chucky is also very dangerous down low near the net and strong at finishing. I called him Chucky, not him. When he is on, he is very difficult to stop. It helps he play. And here we go. Listen to this. He's not wrong, but you can tell there's a bias here. Or maybe it's just my imagination because I'm biased. He says, it helps that he gets to play on the Stanley Cup champ Panthers, who are loaded in high-end depth. He gets top power play time, plays with gritty and skilled forwards like Sam Bennett or Carter Verhaeghe. It's no wonder Florida is seen as so deep when Alexander Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk attack you on different lines. So he's not wrong, but he's the only player on this list that he brings up. Well, he plays with other good players. And I get a kick out of how he starts it. Okay, Matthew Tkachuk is clearly one of the top power. I mean, like somebody had to talk him into it. So we get to number 2. No real disagreement here. JT Miller. Fans of the Vancouver Canucks will see Miller standing here as a welcoming sign, but who can really deny it? Hockey fans outside of Vancouver would invariably question his high standing. Therefore, let's start with a major factor. 37 goals and 66 assists for a total of 103 points in 81 games. For someone who would be considered a power forward with that level of productivity, it is no wonder he is rated second in the entire NHL. Tipping the scales at nearly 220 and recording 217 hits, Miller is a force to be reckoned with throughout the league. He's been imperative in the Canucks' rise to playoff contention prominence. No disagreement there. These guys are pretty big, right? These guys are pretty big. So most of you by now probably have figured out who they put at number one and why you'll be triggered as a Panther fan. The NHL's undisputed power forward king, Brady Tkachuk. For those of you only listening, I took a sip of water. From our list of top NHL power forwards, the Ottawa Senators captain, Brady Tkachuk's 6 major penalties in 23-24 was the most. His 294 hits ranked third in the entire NHL, where he's mixed up with players not considered top liners. Needless to say, Tkachuk never backs down and often initiates in order to motivate his club. Not necessarily always the best decision for his club from a matchup standpoint, but does nothing to take away from Tkachuk's presence throughout the league. In other words, I know a lot of the stuff he does is stupid and doesn't help his team, but there's no way I'm putting Matthew first because I hate the Panthers, so I put Brady first. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just tired and grumpy. I don't care. Nobody's watching anyway. So, thank you all for watching. By the way, I'm going to thank you guys for watching. Like it has been a ride to watch the views go from 5,000 to 3,000 to 1,000 to 700 to 500 to 400 to 200. It has been a ride to just watch you guys say, I've had enough hockey, and turn off the channel and see me in September, October. That's okay. I'm not complaining. I totally expected it. It's just if you go to the channel, it's literally like it just like slowed down. You can see everybody clicking off. Maybe you're just sick of me. He says Tkachuk had 37 goals and 37 assists to go along with a dominant XG of 40.9. Don't know what that means. I think that's expected goals. Yeah, okay. It bothers me that I even know any of the advanced analytics. Just bleh. If you want The Rock taken to, oh my God. If you want The Rock taken, I can't. Listen to this sentence. I can't. If you want The Rock taken to the rack, Tkachuk takes the puck to the net and can't be stopped. Hats off. Absolutely hats off. He's got to be a Senators fan. And that's okay. If he is, his name is Levi Pike. He lives in where's he live? The easterlymost province of Canada, St. John's, Newfoundland. He's got typos in his biography, unfortunately. Oh yes, he's passionate about hockey, in particular the Ottawa Senators and statistics. So okay, so I'm not incorrect. He has a pro Ottawa bias, so Brady would be first, and he begrudgingly put Matthew Tkachuk in. I'm going to give screenshots of the articles. I'm not sure. You don't think I'm making it up. Okay, Matthew Tkachuk of the Florida Panthers is clearly one of the top power forwards in the NHL. That was actually a little bit more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. Hey, look, I'm sure that when people watch my videos, I mean, we're homers. It's fine. I'm glad, though, that I didn't read his biography to the end. So now I know that my suspicion that he was a homer and would not be a big fan of the Panthers was accurate. And I'm finding that a lot lately the last week. as I pack things up. Let's just say, boys, I give you 1 minute of I'll give you all, not just men. I'll give you all 1 minute of relationship and life advice, not relationship advice, life advice that I would talk about on the men's channel. This goes for anybody. Trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. You are not crazy. You are not crazy. I promise you that if you just trust your intuition and you are steadfast, regardless of what people say about you, eventually that thing that you thought, you'll find out why you thought it. And you'll be like, oh, I guess I wasn't wrong. I guess I wasn't crazy. That's it. That's all the advice I have for you today. This show's obviously a little bit short. I'm beat. I'm not gonna lie. The auction is about an hour and 10 minutes away. Unfortunately, for those of you who know me and my physical struggles personally, I got the vertigo and all of that. I kind of thought for a minute, okay, I got a lot of stress that's like done, right? Like the dogs have passed, the relationship is over. Like the last 6 years, I've gone through a lot. I don't want to get into it. But the point is that last night while we were driving, I was talking with Kyle saying, I need to test bridges again to see if the vertigo is there. Well, driving home, we had to go just on a regular, like a little bit of a highway. And you know how sometimes the ramp will like raise as you're getting off or on? Yeah, the vertigo is still there. The vertigo is still there. I can do it. And like a small bridge I can do, but like any of the bigger bridges, like the Bay Bridge or like the bridge in Jacksonville, I don't know. I don't know. And there's a bridge here that I can test it on. But I don't know if I move back to Florida, which I don't think is going to happen because Matthias is back here now. But even if I'm there visiting, I do not know what would happen. Like the bridges where you go from the mainland and you go over the intercoastal and you go to beachside. I don't know if I could drive one of those bridges. I don't know. If I did, I don't even know if I could say I need to go faster or slower because the couple of times I was really struggling in bridges, I was going slower. But last night, when I started to feel that vertigo kick in, I actually went faster, and it actually made me calm down a little bit, feeling a little bit more comfortable because I knew it would be over sooner. I know that's. I mean, it sounds weird, so maybe slower wouldn't be better. The point is that unfortunately, and I've gone for acupuncture for the vertigo. I went to hypnosis for the vertigo. I've taken all of the things. And it does help with the nausea and the general my well-being. But in terms of driving, uh, it is what it is. So there was that. And then we got a van full of stuff to unload. I'll take a little short video. Like once I open up the van, I'll put a short out just to kind of show you guys what we're doing. Of course, I have the inclination, the idea that maybe I should start a separate channel that would be like eBay advice and showing people what we're buying and everything like that. I got 25 years experience. There's not a lot of people out there with 25 years experience at eBay. Do the math. That's 1999, right? So I have thought about doing that. There's not a lot of people that have survived doing it that long. So that could possibly happen. It all depends on how much time I have. You know what I mean? A lot of times during the summer, things slow down, right? And so I start thinking, oh, I can do this, I could do this, I could do this. And then football and hockey kick in, and I'm like, I can't do that. I don't have time for that. But unfortunately, and this is really the hard part, in terms of the dogs, last night we're driving home. I don't want to start crying again, but we're driving home. I'm going to start crying. We're driving home, and Kyle and I are talking, and we're like, there's going to be no dogs to greet us. And that's very depressing. Now, we had not left the dogs alone in the house where Kyle and I were not here or Karen was not here. But maybe one time in the last 4 years, right? Maybe twice. I mean, seriously, that's not even an exaggeration. So there's, they were not used to being alone anyway. But, what was hard was we were talking about how there's going to be no dogs to greet us and everything. But for a split second, and I felt so bad about this, for a split second when I was exhausted and driving home, I did have that momentary fleeting feeling of I can just walk in the door and take care of myself, right? I don't have to, run downstairs with the dogs and run outside and tend to them and feed them and engage with Karen and then bring them back upstairs, especially in the last few years because they couldn't just do the stairs by themselves anymore. So I'd have to walk them around it. The last 2 years, it was like a 15-minute process to get them from downstairs to upstairs. So point is that, you go through these things and there's pros and cons, in terms of, I know a lot of you have said, getting more dogs, get another dog. I think unless the universe just plops the dog in my lap, like it did with Slim the first day after Fluffy passed, unless that happens, my intent is to go an entire season with no dog because couple things. I need these channels to do well. I need these channels to do well. I need to get these channels to another level. I'm happy with where we're at, but with the football channel and the men's channel, especially the couple of months I stopped making content because I was dealing with Fluffy. Now, I mean, it's just like it's like starting all over again. There's nobody watching. And in terms of this channel, I have a lot of things planned. And I know that, there's no dogs, there's no relationship. So I will be able to put, both Kyle and I will be able to put our full amount of effort into what we're doing here, including with the eBay store and everything. And I mean, I'm nowhere near emotionally ready. I can't even think about it right now. I can't. I get a blip and it's too stressful. But I want us to go a full season, Panther season, without a dog, mainly because I don't know if we're going to be able. I want to come down for October 8th, but money is going to be, that's going to be a problem. I could finance the tickets, the flight. I'm so monthly paymented out. I had to finance a new bed and a couple other things because Karen's taking her stuff. I had a bed. She moved in. She had a nicer bed. Got rid of my bed. Gave it to Kyle. Now she's leaving. Now I got to buy a bed. Stuff like that. So I'm already monthly paymented out the wazoo, right? So, and that's the other part to it is financially, I want Kyle and I to get a little bit more stable before I think about bringing in the dog. And since I don't know if we're going to be able to afford to go to opening day with the banner ceremony and all of that, I want to keep the option open. It's like, okay, what about playoffs? You know what I mean? We'll be in a much better financial position by then because it'll be at the end of the season, right? So I kind of want to keep my options open that way. And then when summer hits next year, if we look around and we think that we can take that on, the responsibility, because I'm not capable, just like yesterday with Karen gone now, right? I'm not a big fan of leaving my dogs alone for that long. So that would have been 8.5 hours that if we had a dog, that they would have been alone. So there's a lot to consider there. So I know some of you have said, get another dog, and it breaks my heart to see all the, the strays and the dogs that have been turned into the pound. But Kyle and I got to make sure that we got our finances and everything good to go before we do that, So I don't know, maybe we'll get a fish tank. We got a stray cat. There was a stray cat that showed up the day after Ellie died. This is a true story. The day after Ellie died, Karen was standing that's the porch. There's a window right there. There's a porch. And on the other side of that wall is the kitchen. And there's a window and a door. And Karen was sitting there washing dishes or whatever. And she looked out the window and she's like, there's a cat. There's a cat on the porch. And I hadn't been feeding it at this point. So I'm like, oh, okay. So then I started feeding it. And I don't know. I think it's just like the neighborhood cat. But the point is that I still got something to take care of. In fact, the Fluffy's last bag of dog food just ran out a couple of days ago because I was giving the cat wet food and I'd mix in a little bit of dry food because what the hell else was I going to do with the open bag of dog food? I'm going to throw it away, right? And so I've been feeding this stray cat. So I guess that's the pet that we have right now. I just call him Kitty. I just call him Kitty. I don't know what to call him, right? I walk outside like an idiot, kitty, kitty, kitty. And he comes. I think we couldn't figure out when we first saw it if it was a boy or if it was a pregnant female because the belly was hanging low. But there's a lot of mice and stuff like it. The cat is eating well. I think it's just a fat male. It's got a little bit more of a square jaw. I think it's just a fat male. Very, very skittish, though. Will not, like if it's on the porch, because the porch is upstairs, if it's on the porch eating and downstairs, I walk out of the house, the cat will like fly off the porch and it'll only run. There's a big stand of like 3 or 4 big fat pine trees right by where the porch is. It'll run to the pine trees and it'll just stop right at the edge and it'll just stare at me. And I talk to it and it just stares. It don't say anything back. I can't even get a meow out of it. But I thought it was interesting how it showed up the day after Ellie died. Now, since Fluffy has died, now if you guys remember the story, I've told this story before. Sonia, we used to stay on the porch a lot in the spring and fall and chase the bumblebees. We get big, fat bumblebees. And right before Ellie passed, when I used to sit outside with the dogs and do the podcast by the tree, right before she passed, this one bumblebee just kept coming up to me and the dogs and just buzzing around us, and it would fly away. I never had a bumblebee do that. Never had it. I mean, it's just totally random. There's one bumblebee and so it went around me and it went around Ellie, and Ellie died. And then the bumblebee kept coming back, circling around me and Fluffy, and then Fluffy died. And then the bumblebee went away. But what has been replaced with is one, and it's big, and I don't want to call it nasty, but it's a big ass, mean looking hornet. And it's hanging out in 2 places. I'm not making this up. It either, when I'm sitting outside by the dogs' graves, this one hornet will just come and it like sometimes it'll just land off Fluffy's grave and just kind of like walk around and then it'll like fly off. And then when I'm in the kitchen, that same window that we saw the cat out of, this one same hornet, big son of a bitch. He just like buzzing, like hey, let me in the house, let me in. It's the weirdest thing, but that started happening the day after Fluffy passed. I don't know what any of that means, but I got questions. When I croak, whenever that is, I got questions, man. I have serious questions. So, all right. That's enough. Now, like I said, this is no longer members exclusive podcast. It's a members first podcast. So some of you are probably listening, if you're listening, and you're wondering why it's not always just going to be your typical hockey video as you've seen here today. A lot of times we just talk about life. You know what I mean? I got nobody else to talk to, right? So you're my support group. All right, everybody. I will not have any other content out today. The Dolphins play tonight, right? I don't know if I'm going to get to watch that game, but if it's being streamed, we're not going to have any content. We're not going to have any live streams that way. Oh, last thing. For those of you who watch the Football Channel, Kyle and I had planned on doing like a bunch of the classic Dolphin games. We were going to live stream some classic Dolphin games. That might still happen, but I don't know, because with the situation with Karen moving out, I cannot express to you how every room of the house is an absolute shambles right now. It's really incredible how life has worked out, where the timing of Fluffy passing and Karen moving out all happen when there's no football, there's no hockey, and I have the time and brain cells to deal with it all. Because had this happened during the hockey season, I might not have. It could have gotten ugly. It could have gotten ugly. So I don't know if we're going to be doing those videos or not. Right now, it is going to take every ounce of energy that Kyle and I have to get the house just ready for day one stream with the Dolphins opening day against Jacksonville. I think that is. So is what it is. Hopefully, maybe we can do it. If not, we'll pick it up next summer. I'm sure things will be a lot less chaotic next summer. So, all right, everybody, appreciate all the support. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend. I'm sure I'll have something out over the weekend, just so that you guys know that I have not croaked. Old man croaking.